Oh guys, it's your motivation guy, Keith Allen. Look man, there are so many tips and tricks in this game that can never just fit in this one video, but today I'm gonna fill you guys in on 9 tips that every player must know to elevate their game in Season 9. And so whether you're a new player or a veteran, if these tips are not a part of your game, they should be. Hey, if you guys liked the video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, and let's get this going. Okay guys, so starting us off, we've got some useful grenade tips to talk about. Grenades are incredibly strong, especially if you master their flight pattern and how much distance and height you need for the perfect frag. We've all gotten hit by that frag grenade that just seems to just instantly blow up in our face, leaving us helpless as we're just getting pushed by an enemy squad. Knowing the distance of your nades and adding enough arc for the timer to go off right as it reaches your enemies can win so many fights, as it'll catch enemies behind cover by surprise, giving them no indicator if done perfectly. The ultimate use for this trick is when you've got someone camping on a ledge above you and hit them with the grenade straight up to the skies and back down on their head. This works better with frags, but it can work pretty well with arc stars too if you manage to land it right on them. Getting comfortable with using your grenades from any distance in any scenario and really just knowing how to time them to leave no room for escape can be a great way to get a ton of damage off in fights. Alright, so moving on. I know we all love using a battery to top ourselves off when our shields run low, but being proactive about the use of your shield cells will leave you not needing your bats as much. You know, batteries are really slow to use in a pinch and can leave you helpless for 5 whole seconds, which in Apex time is an eternity. Rather than waiting until your shield is cracked and pulling out your bat, use your shield cells at every opportunity. If you're in a gunfight, watch for any chance between peaks to keep your shields topped off with your cells. This will keep you healthy as you take damage throughout the fight, and it can do wonders for your uptime as well. When you always have a healthy shield, you'll be ready to push when you crack the enemy bloodhound, or when an enemy squad decides to push you. I can't tell you guys how many times, we've been in fights and just popping one shield cell was the difference between dying and gaining a ton of RP. So value your shield cells more often. Another big way that you can keep your shields topped off in a pinch is armor swapping. After being in a close fight, you often find yourself out of armor and needing to heal up fast. And so the fastest way to do this, guys, is to nab the armor off of one of the enemy death boxes. Their armor will always be full when you pick it up, instantly replenishing your shield, even if they don't have a higher level Evo than you. That quick swap from a cracked red Evo to a full blue Evo may be the only healing you can get off before needing to fight again. Rather than spending 5 seconds to use the battery, you could take less than a second to grab a full armor off a box once you get good at it. Be sure to grab the highest level Evo once you're in the clear, but if you get desperate, you can catch an enemy by surprise when they push you and find you have full shields. Okay guys, now for this next one. It may come as a surprise, but don't use Shatter Caps on the bow check. This powerhouse weapon actually becomes weaker when you throw on this hop up. I know, tricky, right? You would think that an upgrade that you can pick up for one of the most powerful weapons in the game would make it even better, but not here. Shatter Caps gives the bow check and the 30-30 repeater the ability to become shotguns, adding a spread to their shots. On the 30-30, it isn't too bad, having good damage and just fitting the weapon better. But that's not the case with the bow check. While it may make it easier to hit close range shots, the damage is really low unless you hit all your pellets. And even then, it takes away a lot of the damage at range. So if you're using this weapon, you should have enough reps in the firing range to hit your shots, and Shatter Caps will actually lower your damage if you are. On the same note though, deadly tempo is insanely strong in the bow check. So if you see a bow check hop up, make sure you pay attention to which one you're picking up, as putting Shatter Caps on this insanely powerful weapon is just plain bad. Alright guys, so at number 5, we have another tip when picking your weapon in Season 9. The Havoc has been in a bit of a rough spot in recent seasons, but the recoil changes made to the weapon in Season 9 has moved it back into the spotlight as a strong weapon. It feels much easier to hit your initial shots and properly track a target. The turbocharger makes those first shots come out quicker, but keep in mind, it adds a bit of a recoil as well. So it may be best to not have the supercharger on this guy if you plan on taking fights at longer range. With the lack of bullet drop and the good damage of energy ammo, the Havoc is in a really strong spot here in Season 9. While most of us probably won't be taking it over the R301, the Havoc should not be overlooked as a powerful AR option, especially if your team is already running light or heavy. Being the energy user on the squad allows for your team to get more loot and not contest each other for a certain ammo type. Alright, so next on our list of tips is one that is going to help you win more close-range gunfights and get damage off before your opponent. In Apex, hip firing is really strong. with most guns having a pretty far range that they remain accurate without needing the ADS. Add to that how fast-paced the close-range gunfights can be, and how much easier it is to work in movement like crouch, spamming, and strafing, and you should be hip-firing in most close-range fights. Having the mentality of shoot first and ADS second will help you get earlier damage in fights, and will have you coming out on top much more. Knowing when it's best to ADS can be crucial in winning gunfights. If you're having trouble getting this down, guys, or you want an even closer look at the fundamentals of aiming, head on over to our website and check out our course with one of the best pros in Apex Legends, Snipe Down. In this course, he shows off the things that helped him go from your average player to a pro in no time. If you want to improve fast, you gotta learn from the best, and with that out of the way, let's get into our next tip. Now a tip for you hot droppers. Okay, so don't get baited by the hot zones on the map. While these areas have a chance to drop you some high-tier loot, they attract a ton of squads for that very reason. The risk needed to drop here just isn't worth the loot you get 9 times out of 10. Let other squads go fight over the chance of finding one gold weapon and maybe a high-level shield. Your squad is much better off landing in a less contested location where you can loot much safer. So avoiding hot drops is one of our biggest tips for having good RP gains, and the hot zone is the hottest of drops. For the effort of having to fight off multiple squads, the hot zone just purely isn't worth it. The loot is average, and rarely will they ever actually spawn a gold weapon. So if you're having trouble finding good landing spots and you find yourself dropping to the hot zone often, check out our video on the 5 best landing spots in Season 9. The link will be in the description. Okay, so while on the topic of dropping, you should really learn to be dynamic about your drop location. So while it's good to have a set location for when you're diving out of the sky, you should be free looking early in the drop to take note of where other squads are headed. If you find that your chosen POI looks to be contested, or maybe you see a nearby location that no one is dropping to, it's not a bad option to just change your path and find a better landing spot for your team. To add to our last tip, guys, the only time you should be dropping into the hot zone is when dynamic dropping after noticing it is going to be uncontested. Be sure to scope out where the other squads are headed and pick your landing spot as early on your flight path as possible. Dynamic dropping is great, but not if you think about it too late and ruin the drop for your squad. Overall, you should be looking to pay more attention off spawn as your drop sets you up for the game. If you have a poor drop, you're very likely going to have a bad game. We're going to round out these tips with one that's going to help you in every single game. Okay, so whether you're just starting out or looking to increase your RP gains, you need to be positive. Regardless of what you got going on in the game, staying positive and just looking for the win with your squad will always get you further and teach you more than getting upset. This is true for your own personal mindset as well. As you focus on improving your game and becoming a better player, and also for your approach to your team in game, especially in solo queue. Like if you tilt easily and you take it out on your teammates, I guarantee your rank in training is going to suffer. And so while you and your team may not always be on the same page, communicating with them effectively and staying positive about the game with their performance can mean the difference between you getting squad wiped and that Bangalore in your team clutching up the fight and reviving you. If you find your mood souring after a string of tough games, alright, take a break, clear your mind before hopping back into the dropship. And if you have someone on your squad that isn't taking this positive mindset into the game and is bringing your mood down, don't let them. Be the positive force in your squad, keeping your team on the path to the win. Because that's why you're queued up anyway, right? Worst case scenario, like you do have a mute button if comms are toxic, but use this as a last resort and make sure to leave their pings unmuted if possible. Overall, the less conflict you contribute to your team, the better. And don't risk your own mindset trying to argue with your squad. So while there are many more tips that we could give, these 9 will set you up for success if you apply them to your game. Many of them require practice and repetition to really get down. Whether you're learning the perfect arc of your frags, or just getting faster at looting a death box and instantly being able to grab the armor, the more you think about these tips and apply them to your game, the better you're going to become. Be the positive force in your squad, keeping your team on the path to the win. Because that's why you're queued up anyway, right? Let me ask you this question. Have you armor swapped on a pushing Octane who thought you were weak and fried him? Or maybe you're the king of weaving and shield cells in fights. Hey, if you found success with any of the tips that we discussed today, I want to hear about it in the comments section below. If you guys liked the video, make sure you sub to the channel and connect with me on my Instagram at Your Motivation Guy. Keep grinding, never quit. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.